Warm greetings from the high 10. It's Everyday Shenanigans. Thanks for joining me. Hope you all are having a smooth first day of the week. Had a great weekend. Stayed cool and hydrated. Please pray for the Queen. A very dear friend of mine, elderly woman who I've posted pictures to my community board, Miss Mary. She passed away last week, and she'll be laid to rest on Wednesday. I'm just beside myself knowing that she passed away. She was a very dear friend of mine and like a mom to me, grandmother to me. She was just a wonderful human being. She made me laugh, and I'm just really disgusted knowing that she will not be around, but God called her home. It was her time. So prayers to their family. I'm going to do a comprehensive dive into many subject matters this afternoon. Most of my content will be coming out of Memphis, Tennessee. Later on tonight or tomorrow, I will do a deep dive also into the crime wave that is plaguing Memphis, Tennessee. Memphis is in my bloodline. As many of you know, my mom is from Memphis, Tennessee. I have many family members who still reside in that area. Arkansas, Mississippi, also in my bloodline. And every time I go in the queue, there's always something about Memphis, Tennessee. And I'm always bringing you the same source of information pertaining to this city. WREG is one of the main sources of information pertaining to Memphis, Tennessee. And it's just sad that every time I go into the queue, there's something disturbing about the city. It was bad enough when some heathens murdered young Dolph, a rapper, but every day there is somebody being murdered, somebody being hurt, a car broke into. So I'm going to do a deep dive into many things that are coming out, vile actions coming out of Memphis, Tennessee in my next live, because I think someone needs to address what the hell is going on down there. I don't know what is going on, but it's not good. It's not a safe city to live in. It's just not. I'm going to bring you commentary later pertaining to the murders in that city, and we'll chop it up pertaining to what is going on down there. Hello, everybody in the chat. Thank you all so much for joining me. I brought you commentary pertaining to a Memphis apartment complex by the name of Highland Hills. It's in the Fox Meadows jurisdiction in Memphis, Tennessee. These people were being threatened with their water being shut off. It was supposed to take place on Friday. They got the notice last Saturday. So not this past, the water would have been shut off this past Friday a few days ago, but it did not allegedly. It's supposed to be restored, never got turned off. And I'm going to bring you commentary pertaining to what is going on in Memphis, Tennessee. Commentary by WREG. This was uploaded 3 weeks ago. It's called Problem Solvers Uncover Landlords Getting Tax Breaks While Not Paying the Bills. A Memphis apartment complex owner that has had repeated utility shutoffs due to non-payment is also getting city tax breaks. The Problem Solvers investigation found David Jackson and Gloria Cochran alerted the Problem Solvers to the issue when their electricity got cut off at the Garden View Apartments on Whitaker Drive in Whitehaven. I got breathing machines in there. I can't hook them up and use it, Cochran said. According to MLGW officials, and this is the Memphis Light, Gas, and Water Company, they cut off the Garden View Apartments for non-payment. WREG Problem Solvers obtained notices showing the warnings to the owner, Garden View LLC, with at one point more than $10,000 overdue. It's just not right, Jackson said. I think they are slumlords, Cochran said. The Problem Solvers tried to get answers, but a person in the management office said they could not talk. Eventually, MLGW told us the new owners never changed the account to their name. The mistake exemplifies mismanagement that tenants say goes beyond bills. When I go to the garbage can, I have to step over garbage to put my garbage in the garbage can, Cochran said. She added that she paid out of pocket to have the lawn mowed at the complex. And I've never heard of such. Finding the owners proved complicated. According to Shelby County property records, the Garden View LLC is registered to a Brooklyn, New York apartment address. Documents from the Tennessee Secretary of State show the Garden View owners also had several other properties in Memphis, including Sunrise Villas on Winchester. Michaela Christian lives at Sunrise with her children. She said her utilities had also gotten turned off. This is what we have to deal with, she said. Turns out MLGW has sent cutoff notices at Sunrise as well. Everybody pays their bill. That's fine, but we still have to suffer because the complex that's not doing their part, Christian said. Documents also show the owners are getting a tax break. They identify Shyman Weinberger and Maddie Wurzberger of Brooklyn, New York as the owners, who are potentially saving thousands of dollars. I guess this is a brother and brother or a father and son business. Who knows? They're saving thousands of dollars a year through a pilot from the Memphis Health Educational and Housing Facility Board. The problem solvers obtained the board inspections of the Sunrise Villas complex. They discussed some improvements, but focused more on the issues by citing trash on the ground, backed up sewer line. Inspectors ultimately concluded the property looks dirty and unkempt. Our request for an interview, but answered questions through their attorney over email. We asked if these circumstances met their expectations. The board's external monitors viewed the Sunrise Terrace property and found deficiencies which are still being monitored. The pilot lessee advised that they are working on addressing the deficiencies and the property has not been declared in legal default as yet, the board's attorney stated. He clarified the purpose of the Health Educational Housing Facility Board by calling it an incentive to facilitate affordable housing and said they are far from a cure-all. In the past, when the board has cut ties with property owners, it ended up hurting tenants, he said. When we finally reached out to state owners, Wurzberger and Weinberger on the phone, they told us they didn't own any property in our area and hung up. Oh, wow, how convenient. Meanwhile, the day after we visited Garden View, the utilities got turned back on. But for renters who say they pay on time every month, it's tough to accept their landlords are the ones getting tax breaks. They shouldn't get one because it's a lot of work to be done. I don't see them putting a lot of work and money used to what it needs to be used to. These apartments should be better than what they are, Christian said. Slumlords, Cochran said. I would love to have a maintenance man when I needed my grounds cut. The Health Education Housing Facility Board said it continues to update policies and procedures for better oversight. Memphis code enforcement cited the Garden View property after calls from residents who spoke with the problem solvers. So far, owners have not showed up to multiple hearings in environmental court. Okay, I'm going to read those names again because you will be hearing their names again, this said New York group. Okay, let's see. I'm going to get their names pulled up here. This company is deriving out of New York. Garden View LLC is registered to a New York address. Shyman Weinberger and Maddie Wurzberger. Very interesting how they got wine and then Wurzberger. Weinberger and Wurzberger. Probably fake names. Who knows? Are the New York owners. But you see, when they call the people, they hung up. I'm reading you this information to show you that there's an epidemic down in Memphis, Tennessee of switching of hands and switching of properties to this person, that person, and nobody standing account to the tenants. And this is what I would say to anyone living in Memphis, Tennessee, or any other housing development in the United States. If you ever receive a notice from the city, town where you live in, for the water to be shut off, water or power or both, whichever, gas, all the same thing. That is your cue to try to find you somewhere else to live. Because lo and behold, if you get one notice, you will surely get another. And why sit around and wait 6 months later to be getting another notice that the utility company is severing ties with that said owner? And whenever you are calling someone excessively and they're not answering the phone, they're not returning your phone calls, whether it be the private owner and or the management company, and you're getting a notice for water power shut off, it is time for you to find you somewhere else to live. There's no need in you going round and round with these people because it will happen again. And I'm seeing a serious issue with this here in Memphis, Tennessee, of hands changing of properties after the fact, and no one's being notified to let people know that another person has bought the property. They're getting tax breaks and breaks through the city and town and the government, but won't pay the water bill. And it's unfair to get money from the government and you won't even pay the damn water or the power bill. And then these people wake up and get notices on their door, and then boom, they're fearing they won't have water and power. Now, allegedly, Highland Hills, the apartment complex I mentioned last week, their power has been not turned off, but, their water never got shut off, as I reported to you in an article. It was said on last Monday, everything was resolved with the owner and the Memphis Power Company. But what I find interesting is that when I went in the queue last night, I found this audio that I'm about to play. That it's been, everything's gonna stay the same. And the thing that was weird was the people had got the notice on a Saturday. So I'm trying to figure out why, when I was doing my research and got the information that the water was going to be shut off, why this news story didn't pop up that it was restored. And I thought, how can it be restored when I counted the days back of the video? I brought you all that content on a Saturday. And yet this video had to been uploaded last Saturday or Sunday. It's very strange. I don't know what's going on down there. But I'm going to go ahead and play you the information. There's just some hanky-panky going on with these people down here in Memphis. Probably all over the world. All right, everybody. All verifications for information I'm going to play you via audio in this live is posted to my community board. Thank you so much for joining me. WREG is the source of that information. Most of the Memphis content I play you is by the same source, WREG. If you need verification for the information, I now will play information pertaining to water restores. Very strange. Okay, let's see. Six days ago, so count back 6 days ago, this content was uploaded. 1 second, you guys. Sorry about that, you guys. So sorry. Sorry, I had to take a business call. Okay, where was I? We're going to discuss what's going on with Memphis, Tennessee. They've got so many problems, Lord mercy. Okay, where was I? Highland Hills supposedly has their water issue resolved. I don't know what's the truth. I've been searching before going live to get the content. And I just pray that this is resolved, because I hate to hear this has happened again. Okay, everybody. WREG is the source. Fox Meadows tenants no longer facing utility shutoff. This was uploaded 6 days ago. It's very strange stuff going on with this apartment complex. Thank you for your patience. If you'd like to donate to the channel, $Beganji129 Cash App. Thank you.
CEO of Multi-South Management Services, the company that oversees the Highland Hills apartments, tells us the utility bill is paid. For now, a crisis averted. But here's how we got to this point. People living here initially received a notice of termination from MLTW dated August 2nd, set to happen this upcoming Friday, August 12th. Citing circumstances required termination of the utility company's current business relationship with the landlord, WREG spoke with tenants over the weekend who told us they had paid their bills, left scrambling for answers.
So you sat up there and you took all of our money. So if we wanted to move, we cannot. We have no place to go. Where we're at is what we can afford.
Back out at the complex today, we tried again to speak with someone with the apartments. The door to the leasing office, locked. No one came to the door.
We are here to stand with the tenants.
Also out of the complex working to get answers, Pastor Walter Womack, president of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. He had seen our reporting on the issue over the weekend, also hearing from concerned tenants.
As talking to some of the tenants, we have a lot of issues going on over here at this property. And we're here at CLC to make sure that their civil rights are not violated.
We also tried calling the company that oversees the complex. But when we couldn't get through to anyone on the phone, we went directly to the company's East Memphis offices. It was there a woman relayed the message from the CEO to me. The bills had been paid. When I asked how we got to this point in the first place, she told me she couldn't answer that. But tonight, as people here might be able to breathe a sigh of relief, for some, there's another issue. Tenants showed us poor living conditions in their units at the complex. Excessive mold, floors caving in, the AC not working. A City of Memphis spokesperson telling us code enforcement has received 15 active service requests. We saw an officer at the complex as well.
They have a right to live with indecency.
Shay Arthur, WREG, News Channel 3.
Code enforcement says 7 units are not up to code and 7 summons will be issued to environmental court.
Woo, 7 summons. WREG is the source once again. So is everything up to par? The water is back. Not, what am I trying to, excuse me, I'm just all over the place. The water is on, never got shut off. Why are you people renting to these tenants and you don't want to keep the place up to par? I've seen the photographs, the video of that apartment that the lady was showing. And please refer to the video on my page, on my channel, community board. The ceiling is caving in. This place also has crime, mold in that same apartment. The woman is showing the video to the news people. What is the problem? Why are you people steady taking these people rent money? Because you see, it's easy to assume things about a story when you don't know everything. Because, you know, some people would say, oh, maybe they're not paying their electric bills to the Memphis company. Well, it doesn't even matter because this company, Multi-South, they are paying the water. So the water got shut off. Or the water was going to get shut off, excuse me. The water was supposed to get shut off, not this Friday that passed, but the Friday before. No, let me get this right. The water was supposed to be turned off this past Friday. but it didn't. On that Monday, allegedly, the management told the residents that they paid the bill. Where I have the problem is this ping pong game that everybody is playing with one another. What is the point? You're either going to do right by the tenants or not be in that line of business. Hell, why don't you all just go in the business of flipping houses? You buy a property, you fix it up, and then you sell the house to somebody and you let them worry about what the hell they want to do with the house. Because this is ridiculous, this renting properties, apartments, and then you're taking the rent money, but you don't want to repair anything. You don't want to keep maintenance staff. You don't want to keep adequate people in the office to work, a spare person to work. You don't want to keep security on the property, proper lighting fixtures so people can see themselves coming and going on the property, parking lot, breezeway, such and such. Things go wrong inside the apartment. They need a stove, refrigerator, air conditioning unit, whatever the hell the problem is, heating. You don't want to fix it. What is the issue? And I'm just sick of these stories because this is ridiculous. And this isn't just Tennessee. It's all over the United States. People taking money, people getting tax breaks, people switching the companies to another company. Nobody even knows who the hell owns the company, as I just reported to you with this last information. And now it's all these people are out of New York buying properties down in Memphis, Tennessee, and nobody knows who to go call about fixing any damn thing because everybody's playing stupid. Oh, hi, may I speak to such and such? Hang up the phone, then all of a sudden, oops, the water bill's paid. What is the purpose? What is the purpose? Go find you another hobby. Go find you another way to invest your money into something that you can get an adequate return instead of endangering the lives of citizens. Because people have to have somewhere to live. I don't care if you're the baker, butcher, janitor, or the CEO of a corporation. Everybody has to have somewhere to live. And nobody has the right to take your rent money and not repair the property, repair whatever's going on in the property. A safe environment for you, your family, your friends, your children to live. It's got to stop at some point. And I blame the city because you're allowing these people to run these slum places. You're hearing all these terrible things happening on the property. You're hearing that they've got code violations. You're hearing and seeing the complaints. You've got people running over there, ambulance, fire department, police. Every time somebody's getting shot, hurt, stabbed, robbed, you have to say to the owner, hey, we got this many calls this month from a shooting, from a this, from a that. We're not going to have it. You are a nuisance. That's what it's called, a nuisance. The city has the right to shut down any property that is deemed unsafe and a nuisance, be it unkempt or crime or all of the above. That's the bottom line. You can't tell the tenants, well, it's not our problem. Go call the owner, go call the manager. No, you are just as guilty, the city, because you have an obligation to run the city. So therefore, anything within the jurisdiction of the city limits, you are obligated to mandate change. Bottom line. That's the update pertaining to Highland Hills apartment complex in Memphis. The water has stayed on. We will see what happens if there'll be another issue with this complex in Multi-South. And as I said to you in my previous commentary, Multi-South owns they manage at least 30 plus properties in the Memphis, Tennessee jurisdiction. And they are some nice looking places. And as I told you, reporters went to the 2 other places who are not having water issues. So that should let you know right there that it's an owner issue. They don't want to pay the damn water. But the management company is stupid to keep dealing with the owner. Because once you start getting complaints from the tenants about this, that, rats, rodents, mold, crime, blah, 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 somebody broke an apartment, whatever the hell it is, it's time for you to sever your ties with the owners. Just like how the power company wanted to sever their ties with the owner. Well, hell, you do the damn same. Because it doesn't make any sense to have all these properties you're managing. You've got these nice swanky places, nice places where the students are going. You know, the University of Memphis students are going in other universities. And then you got other regular apartments you're catering to people that's got a little money. And then you got these damn rundown places that you're also managing. How does that look on your portfolio? That's why you didn't have no damn picture of the apartment on the website, because it ain't nothing to look at. And you don't even have a visual of an apartment to even put on the damn website for people to see what the hell it looks like. Yeah, we now know why. That's content number one, everybody. Thank you for joining me. I've got some really bad stories to bring you today, so bear with me. My weekend movie was Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. I went to see that movie this weekend with my family, and it was a very interesting movie. Some of you may not be horror fans, but this was a horror movie set in a nice estate mansion where some kids get together, college students, to have fun. And next thing you know, they play a game of bodies, 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 and eventually they discover a body. It goes from there. You have to decide who the killer is. It's a very interesting movie. That was my movie of the weekend that I went to see. Now I'm going to get on to my next content. Coming out of Memphis, Tennessee, story number 2. Mom, daughter lead 14-year-olds on crime spree, police say. This is uploaded 2 days ago. Lord have mercy. We got to pray for these people down here in Memphis. This is absolutely ridiculous.
A mother, her daughter, and 2 14-year-olds arrested in a 4-person crime spree. Police say they shot one person and robbed several others. WREG's Melissa Moon is live outside the Criminal Justice Center tonight with the very latest. And Melissa, you talked to one of the victims.
That's right. He said that he immediately called police because he didn't want anyone else to be victimized.
I told him, please don't shoot.
Michael Lawrence thought he was perfectly safe walking to a convenience store on this busy corner in East Memphis, but Wednesday he was targeted by robbers.
And they came out around me like this.
Just a few hundred steps from his home.
I saw the end of a gun. It was chrome.
In broad daylight.
And it said, give me all your money in your wallet. And I panicked and just ran.
Police say the pair who tried to rob Lawrence are just 14 years old and involved in 3 other robberies with 19-year-old Abriana Taylor and 41-year-old LaShunna Taylor. Investigators say the mother and daughter drove the teens around and also took part in some of the crimes.
The parents, older people telling these kids to do that.
Police say Abriana admitted to shooting a man she and one of the juveniles robbed inside a laundry room at the Prescott Place Apartments. They say both boys robbed a man at gunpoint in the driveway of his home on Maxine. Investigators say all 4 were arrested when the victim got a good look at the getaway car being driven by one of the women.
The policeman asked me if they got into another car, was anybody helping them. I told him I didn't know.
Lawrence says he didn't give the robbers what they wanted and ran straight to the store to call 911.
I just can't believe it, being that young and out here robbing people.
Now, police have not said if those teens are related to those women. All 4 are facing a slew of charges, including aggravated robbery and attempted robbery. The women also facing charges of contributing to the delinquency of a child. As for the victim, he is still in the hospital being treated for internal bleeding and a collapsed lung. In downtown Memphis, Melissa Moon, WREG, News Channel 3.
Okay. Oh, Lord have mercy. What a mess. So this woman goes on a crime spree with her daughter and orchestrates some teenagers, 14 years old, 2 boys, I guess, to rob people. This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Just stupid. One, what are you teaching your 19-year-old kid, a female? Both of them look like guys. Then you go find 2 more kids, 14 years of age, to use them to go out here and rob people. What made you think this white man had any money? He's obviously living in an urban neighborhood, walking to the store, mind you, not driving a Mercedes, not driving a Nissan Pathfinder, a new car. He's walking. and you would rob him walking. Just think about that for a second. He's walking to the store, barely living 9 times out of 10. Then you have the boys rob somebody at a laundromat in our apartment complex. So you all are just riding around the city of Memphis looking for anybody, broad daylight, mind you, to rob. You're robbing him. I'm assuming it was daylight. You use the boys to go rob somebody at an apartment complex. That person's in the hospital with a collapsed lung, beat up. So what did you get off of that person? That man. A couple of quarters. This is ridiculous to me. A woman near 40 years old using her own daughter and children, some other children, we don't know who those children, but whose children those are, to go out here robbing random people in the city of Memphis. What the F is wrong with you people? And these boys, you all know better, but you're still minors. So you'll get a free pass. But then you beat somebody with a collapsed lung, they could be an attempted murder charge. And where are their parents? How do they know this woman and this 19-year-old girl? How does everybody know everybody? This is so ridiculous to me. 40-year-old woman, 19-year-old kid, her kid, and then 2 14-year-olds running around the city of Memphis, just robbing random people. Just anybody. Oh, I don't care what they look like. We'll just go get them. Just we don't care what they look like. We don't care who they are, what they got. We don't care if they don't got nothing. No, we'll beat them to death, and then we'll go find somebody else, jump them too. This is bad. The city of Memphis, the mayor, whomever, you all got to get it together because this can't go on. This influx of crime. I don't know why it's an influx, just like with Atlanta, the general Atlanta metro area. I don't know why there's such an influx of crime down there, but it's out of control. No different than Chicago. Chicago is, a little bit bigger than Atlanta and Memphis, Tennessee. But my goodness, the crime is out of control. When I read, it was like 18,000 people, violent crimes took place in Memphis about 10 months or so ago. That is horrendous. Horrendous. I don't even think the population is at 2 million people. So how in the world can you have a population under 2 million and have 18,000 violent crimes? And you should know it's more than that because that's a report from damn near a year ago. And I will bring you that information. I will update the information when I do my take on Memphis, Tennessee, the crime wave. This is story number 2. WREG is the source as well. All this information is posted to my community board. Prayers for Memphis, Tennessee, because this is outrageous. A woman using her own child, 19 years old, who knows better, to rob people. And then they also lured in 2 other children under the age of 18 to rob innocent civilians down in Memphis, Tennessee. Something's got to give with the crime. Because I have a feeling that there won't be too many people trying to stay in Memphis, Tennessee. They will try to branch their ways out into smaller jurisdictions outside of the city. And those places will become afflicted as well, because that's usually what happens to smaller towns, suburbs. The crime moves its way out. The crime will move its way out because people will start getting evicted, put out. And then you have all these people right now living in places that are slums. So they're going to try to find them somewhere better to live. So they'll start seeking places outside in the counties. And then that crime is going to follow because they're going to go out there and some of those people are going to be people that's also involved in crime, their company, their friends, associates. The crime is just going to move its way out to smaller communities. And before you know it, those places that seem safe, they're going to be just as jacked up as Memphis. And that's where this is going. I can see this already. The crime is going to make its way to places that were really swanky, really nice, home, and family oriented. It won't be that way. Thank you for joining me. Information number 3. It's coming out of New York. Not so nice news either. CBS New York is the source for this next information. Family suing Brooklyn funeral home following what they say was service nightmare. Thank you for joining me, everybody.
They are in perpetual mourning, not only over the loss of their loved one, but because of the way they say they had to say goodbye to her. CBS 2's Lisa Rosner says the family is suing the funeral home because they don't want this to happen to anyone else.
With just flowers and a photo of 37-year-old Regina Christoph, this was not the goodbye her family wanted. They hired McManus Funeral Home on Avenue N shortly after her death, June 24th, but asked for a funeral date 2 weeks later so family could fly in for the open casket memorial service. But the day of the funeral, her mom says Christoph was so unrecognizable, the casket was removed.
It was very decomposed. It was a bad stench. Her dress was filthy. They put a whole bunch of makeup all over the white dress. They had a garbage bag around her neck, a black one. They had two bags around her feet, as to say she was garbage.
The family made repeated attempts to see the body before the actual funeral, and they were denied access until the day of.
To make matters worse, the family says the funeral director wasn't even on site, only a receptionist.
He came over and took the extra cloth that was hanging off of the casket and covered her face with it.
Then they say a family member and the employee removed the casket, but they were traumatized.
When I got home, I couldn't even stand. We're in the Haitian community. The dead is sacred.
The medical examiner tells us Christoph's body was picked up June 24th and ready for release the next day. But the family says even though at that time they were in contact with the funeral home waited several days to pick her body up. We spoke with funeral director Anthony Tanga, who allowed us to record the conversation.
Why did her body end up the way that it was?
I think there was a lot of factors.
I'm going to go back on that for 1 second about the body and the timing, because something's off here. Hold on. 1 second.
Allowed us to record the conversation. Tells us Christoph's body was picked up June 24th and ready for release the next day. But the family says even though at that time they were in contact with the funeral home waited several days to pick her body up. We spoke with funeral director Anthony Tanga, who allowed us to record the conversation.
Why did her body end up where it was?
I think there was a lot of factors. The heat factor, the date, from the day of death to the day the family came in, to the day she was removed, to the viewing. It's days and days.
Was there any lapse in communication among your staff?
No, she was embalmed. She was refrigerated, kept in what's called cold room.
The Christoph family said they never received any apology. Through tears, Tanga had this message for Christoph's mother.
I don't know what to tell you, but tell her I'll always pray for her and love her. I want forgiveness first, and I need it. And I'm sure they give it to me. I'm fine with it. But am I sorry? Oh, my heart, I'm sorry.
Afterward, Tanga did walk across the street to apologize in person, but she declined to speak with him.
The day of the funeral is when I tried to call him. And the receptionist, he went in the back to talk to him. And he came back. He said, Anthony doesn't know what I'm talking about.
Attorney John Daly is not involved in this case, but says New York law gives families the right to respectfully say goodbye to a loved one.
Once the body is in the custody of the funeral home, they need to pick it up immediately.
He adds a family should have access to see the body whenever they want to. But for Christoph's family, their last images of her haunt them. They try to replay memories like this of the nurse and single mom of two's bubbly and outgoing personality.
All right, Todd Tucker. No one said goodbye. No one. He took that right away from us for us to say goodbye.
In Flatlands, Brooklyn, Lisa Rosner, CBS 2 News.
The woman's family says they paid about $6,000 for the funeral costs. They say they were never offered a refund. The family filed a lawsuit against the funeral home last week.
Well, naturally, you have to pay some money up front or down when you start funeral proceedings, to my knowledge. I always thought that. I want to look something up about hospitals. Hold on 1 second, you guys. I want to see what I can find. Some information. Let's open up this content here so we can get some information pertaining to the death of people. Hello, everybody in the chat. How long do funeral homes keep bodies? When a loved one passes away, there's a lot for family to decide. Okay, we want to go through all that. It's a matter of, let's see, biggest decisions if you want to bury, cremate a loved one, blah, blah, blah. It says if you've chosen a burial, you'll need to hold the funeral within a few weeks since this is the maximum amount of time a body can be stored. But if your family member is cremated, you can extend the timeline if necessary. Today, we will have a closer look at how long you can expect a body to remain at the home and what other services you can benefit from. How long can a body be kept at a funeral home? After your loved one passes away, you can safely keep their body at your home for several days, as long as the conditions in the room are cool. If you're not sure about the health and safety regulations, you could ask your funeral director about strategies to preserve the body. I've never heard of this before. This is crazy. A few days after the death, the deceased person will need to be transported to a mortuary where they can be kept in refrigerated conditions for around 4 to 6 weeks. I repeat, kept in refrigerated conditions for around 4 to 6 weeks. I didn't even know a body could be kept that long. Even I didn't know. Okay, here we go. Of course, you and your family can visit them there. Depending on the timing of the funeral, we might recommend embalming your family member. The process involves introducing a chemical to the body so they can remain stable for longer. Although embalming is a suitable option for open coffin funerals, it is considered invasive, so we will always check with family members before proceeding. Okay. Travel arrangements. Although we generally recommend that you bury the deceased person around 1 to 2 weeks after their death, the timing of the funeral depends on many factors. If the funeral, especially involved and requires a lot of preparation, you might need to delay it further. Similarly, many people have relatives who live in a different state or country. Well, that's the issue with these people. The reason why they said they held the body out for 2 weeks, didn't bury her immediately, is because they wanted people to fly in to see her. Okay, so here in this article, it says the same. People have relatives who live in a different state or country. To make sure they can attend the service, you might need to give them time to prepare suitable travel arrangements. Then there's another issue about religion. That's mentioned if you're Islam, Judaism. Okay, burial. Let's see. Anyone hoping to say goodbye in a traditional way should choose burial over cremation. This is especially true for people who are following religious requirements. For those who would like to have an open casket funeral, in some cases, a burial can seem more respectful towards the deceased person. It allows the family members to see them and say a proper goodbye. Okay, then it says, naturally, you can have a place to see them and a gravesite to visit for years to come once laid to rest. And then two, putting family by family together, in family plots. When properly stored and cooled, a body can be kept for up to 6 weeks. Listen very carefully. Now, first it says 4 to 6 weeks is a good time frame. Here it says, I don't really know what to believe at this point. Okay. This is some weird stuff going on. Hold on, I've lost my place. Let's see. When properly stored and cool, a body can be kept up to 6 weeks at the funeral home. So you'll have plenty of flexibility when planning your memorial service. So if she actually got buried within 2 weeks of death, why did they have bags around her feet, a bag around her neck? The dress was dirty. What is going on here? You heard the family say there was a stench. You heard this woman saying the body was embalmed and in a cool room. Well, if she was kept in a cool room, why does she smell? Why was her dress dirty? Why was there a towel covered over her face the day of services? Why did you all not allow them to see the deceased woman? Because as they said, once you're at the funeral home, people should be able to come see her as they see fit. Once the person is properly dressed. The family says they stayed in contact with the funeral home. The funeral home says many factors could cause the body to deteriorate, such as heat. Well, see, that's where there's going to be a problem, Miss Lady. There shouldn't be any heat involved once she made it to the hospital and then you picked her up. So you're telling on yourself. So what are you saying? The hospital, what, put her in the broom closet? What are you saying? Because in the end, we have to ask ourselves, did the hospital not have refrigeration? What is the timeline for someone to have the body removed from the hospital to the funeral home? That's what I was trying to search for. Thank you all so much for joining me. This is some wickedness right here. Let me see what it says about the morgue. A morgue or mortuary in a hospital or elsewhere is a place used for the storage of human corpses awaiting identification, removal for autopsy, respectful burial, cremation, or other methods of disposal. In modern times, corpses have customarily been refrigerated to delay composition. That's all I was looking for. Is the body refrigerated at the morgue? Wikipedia says yes. In modern times, corpses have customarily been refrigerated to delay composition. And here in a picture, you will see a bunch of boxes where bodies are stored in a hospital. Inside the view of an abandoned morgue, a bunch of big doors with the latches on them. And then they show one picture of a body in a silver tray, covered up in plastic with a tag on its toe. I'm assuming it's cold in there. This is strange to me. Because there's no way I'm going to believe all these bodies go into the morgue at the hospital and the rooms aren't refrigerated, because you don't know how long it's going to be before you can, one, ID the body, two, identify the family or next of kin. That could be 1 day, 3 days. Because everybody's body don't get discovered right away. And then you also have to count the condition of the body. So let's go there, because that wasn't mentioned. What happened to the young lady? That was not mentioned in this commentary. How did she die? Number one. At what point did she make it to the hospital or morgue from death? Where was she found? At home, in the street, outside? What? What's the time frame from actual death to being discovered, then to the morgue? When did the funeral home actually pick her up? They say the 24th. So one's going to ask the ultimate question, which wasn't answered during this commentary either. When did the victim die? Did she die on the 23rd, the 22nd? What? Because that's what's going to make sense pertaining to preservation of the body, is when did the victim die? She got to the morgue on the 24th. They said the body was ready for release. But then in this commentary, they make it sound like somebody picked her up. But then the next commentary is the funeral home didn't pick her up for a couple of days. So what's a couple of days? 2 days, 3 days, 5 days, 6 days? What? Did they not rush to pick her up because the family said they were going to wait? What was the initial conversation with the family and the funeral home? Because once a body has been ID'd, there's no need for the body to, one, stay at the morgue. I think we all know this. But then we hear in this commentary, it was days before the funeral home picked her up. Why? Why did it take you all days to pick her up? Then you hear this woman sitting here talking about many factors that the body would deteriorate. Heat. Well, lady, that doesn't make any sense because allegedly the body is supposed to be refrigerated, number one, at the morgue. Number two, you're supposed to have holding rooms that are refrigerated, cool, as so the body doesn't deteriorate. Also, you embalm the body, so her body should be preserved. Where are you trying to take this conversation? Because you don't make any sense when you're speaking. You're making some of us believe you took the body and just put her in a room, covered her up, and said, we'll get to her when they pay us that damn money. How about that? So that's why she would smell. Because there's no way if she was embalmed, she would smell. That's what the embalming fluid is supposed to do. It's to preserve the inside, outside of a dead person. Because I go to funerals and I haven't smelled anybody up at the casket. So tell me why she smelled. Why did you have bags around her feet? Let me guess, her feet had corroded, decomposed. You had a bag around her neck. You thought somebody wanted to come to a funeral and see bags on her feet. How they end up seeing that? Because that should have been covered up. Her casket should have been covered up. That's strange to me. But why would you have a bag around her neck? Her dress dirty. How did you get her dress dirty? Was somebody dancing with the dead woman? Please, somebody help me understand. Because you're talking about a deteriorated body, bags on her feet, bags on her neck, dress dirty. I believe the dress was white. So what were you trying to do? Put the bag over the dress while putting the makeup on? What the hell is going on in this funeral home? Does this funeral home have any other improprieties as far as burying the deceased? Are there any other families that have horrible stories to tell about this funeral home? Was there a mix-up or just lacks of behavior in dealing with the dead? And the dead is sacred. It doesn't matter if you're Haitian, American, foreign. It is known that we honor the dead, no matter how they left here, because that's the whole point. It's a finale, and they should be regarded with some dignity for that very reason. They are no longer alive. So to have plastic bags, black bags around her neck, her feet, her dress is dirty. You didn't want the family to see the body, which led us to believe you didn't want them to see the body because you knew her body had started decomposing. And that makes no sense if indeed she was kept in a refrigerated room. So there's some hanky-panky going on about the storage of this dead lady. So why was she decomposing? Did you all embalm her when you got her? Did somebody drop the ball as far as embalming her? See, something doesn't add up. I just read your commentary. This can go up to 6 weeks if the body is properly stored in a refrigerated room. So why was this lady 2 weeks later breaking down? Will they get their money back? Will they win a lawsuit? $6,000 paid. That's, I hear it costs more than $6,000 to bury the dead. So maybe they felt like they were being cheated. I don't know. Is this personal? What were the other dead bodies looking like in the funeral home? They said the funeral director wasn't on hand at the time. Well, where was he? Somewhere at Starbucks getting coffee. Did they have a fill-in to take care of this woman at the time of her body being released from the morgue? See, something is off. So something's going to have to lie in between as far as accountability, the morgue and the funeral home. Because somebody didn't refrigerate her. That's why she was deteriorating. And I remember watching That's Incredible as a kid, and a black lady kept her husband in a coffin or in her house. This is the craziest story I ever seen. And he was preserved for many years. So if that black man was preserved dead, standing upright, I do believe she should have been deteriorated at 2 weeks. How about that? Thank you all so much for joining me. Story number 4. Yeah. Woo! Dear God, help us. All stories posted to my community board if you need verification. for the information. CBS New York is the source for that devastating story. Prayers to the family that they get a resolution and get their money back. I'm getting ready to bring you a very wicked story about two gay men that adopted some children. Same-sex couple charged with sexually abusing adopted sons. This was uploaded 4 days ago. Fox 26 Houston is the source of this information. Fox 26 News. And I also have another story to bring you. I believe it's also out of Texas. And it's just as vile. Let's get this party started here.
And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored, and thank you for joining for our second half hour. Now, this case shows the horrible and ugly side of adoption. Two gay men in Georgia who adopted two boys have been arrested. Police say William and Zachary Zolik were sexually violating the boys and recording the vicious acts on camera, making child pornography. This kind of case is a worst fear for people who are against gay couples adopting. We have to note it's also very rare those adoptions end in sexual abuse or child pornography like this one did. My guests continue that conversation tonight.
Obviously, this has started a lot of naysayers to talking, many conservatives who said this, they've said all along we shouldn't allow same-sex couples to adopt children. When you hear individuals say that, Mike, your thoughts on that kind of reaction to this kind of case?
Well, one, that's not based in facts. At the end of the day, adoption decisions should be based on what's in the best interest of the child. And abusive parenting is wrong, regardless of sexual orientation, gender identity, or religious belief system. And by that standard and definition, we should be we shouldn't allow our kids to be adopted by people who are from faith communities, people who are potentially even Catholic, or people who are even passionate about Boy Scouts, because all these factors have contributed to some form of child molestation. When we think of Josh Degar, when we think of just in Louisiana last week, a woman stabbed her kids because of a custody dispute, and she was in a heterosexual relationship. So this type of abuse is not immune or not just siloed to one particular community. This is something that we all should be aggressively fighting against.
Jack Vincent, your position on this, when many conservatives have said now this is why same-sex couples should not be allowed to adopt children?
Well, along those same lines, I think that I think that allowing same-sex couples to adopt can cause some issues in terms of confusion for the children. But for me to sit here and say that there's not been same-sex couples who have raised well-acclimated children is just false. But it would also, if you say a same-sex couple is going to go out and have all of their children, every same-sex couple is going to go out and make their children participate in child porn, is like saying every priest is bad, every cop is bad, every doctor is evil. I mean, it's just not true. I do think that if you're going to adopt, regardless of whether you are in a same-sex relationship or not, I think they need to do psychological background testing. I think they need to do some questioning to make sure that these people are going to be good for the child or children.
And Mike, would you disagree with that? Just psychological and background, which is standard.
Yeah, no, I definitely recommend that there's always to be a vetting in place when you're deciding where a child should be placed. There's over 40,000 Texans kids right now in foster care without stable permanent homes. And I can't imagine denying them a healthy, loving environment just because a couple happens to be part of the LGBTQ plus community. No child should be denied the stability and love of a forever home simply because the parents who want to provide them are gay. And yes, there are all types of contributing factors towards a child's mental health and their ability to cope with the world that we live in. And that's all goes back down to healthy parenting, right? And that's not necessarily silos to just queer parents. I would also argue that heterosexual parents need to be exceptionally mindful of how they're raising kids as well, and definitely as it relates to making sure kids have a healthy mental health standard and atmosphere.
And this is to either one of you, if you want to answer this question, and I'd like to hear a response from both of you. Do you think what this Georgia couple has done and accused of doing has caused some damage for those who are looking for this type of red meat to chase, saying, look, this is why they should not be allowed to adopt it? Either one of you can jump in. Do you think it has done some damage?
I think Republicans or the far right specifically are in a space where they would try to find anything to discriminate against communities that they disagree with, whether you're a woman, whether you're part of the LGBTQ plus community, whether you're black or brown. And this is one of those fuels for their far right extreme ideology.
And I don't know if it's done any more damage or if it's just lent some credibility to what they're thinking. And when I say credibility, not legitimate credibility, but credibility in their own mind that this is going to reaffirm what they think is right or what they think is wrong. I do think that I don't think that in the long run it's going to make any changes. It's just like the far left who want to have new gun laws because we have some people getting shot. They're going to use whatever fodder they have to try and establish their argument. And so there's going to be people who try to use this to establish their argument. But hopefully level heads will prevail.
All right, gentlemen, thank you both for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored. We appreciate your time tonight.
All right, everybody. Fox 26 Houston. So, should same-sex couples be able to adopt, specifically men? Let's just say men, gay men. This is a case coming out of Georgia. 1 second, everybody. All right, everybody. Sorry about that. Keep having the interruptions. It's been a busy day for the queen. Okay, shouldn't have any more problems. Tell me what you think. As this man was saying in this commentary, Boy Scouts, priests, this and that, Catholics. Well, the point is, people are people, but some people don't agree with same-sex marriages. Some people don't agree with same-sex adoptions. As I said, everyone's entitled to his or her opinion. But the fact that they taped their actions, their perversion, lets you know these people are diabolical. So now one is going to say, you only adopted the boys for sexual purposes. You had no intention of saving lives, saving children who are in foster care in need of a home. And yes, indeed, there are many children in America that are in need of a home. And there are no guarantees that when you place a child with a foster family or an adoptive family, that he or she will be protected. Because what you always have to tell yourself is that the children weren't protected in the home that they were in. That's why they were removed. And it's not to be negative, but you also have to remember a child had a start. So if you can't even trust them with their own damn parents, seriously, how can you trust them with a stranger? And we have known strangers to also be more loving than actual parents and family members. So it's a toss of the coin, how it's going to turn out for a children. But this is very heinous behavior, to adopt children and then sexually assault them. So now the children are back in the system. How about that? To go from foster care naturally to adoption to now back to foster care. See, the children are the losers. And now they will need extensive counseling. And also remember, your identity is formed as a child. Dr. Phil has said this. So let's chop that up briefly. If a man and a man are touching one another, kissing, hugging each other, raising children, same as if it was two women, you are teaching your child that this is okay behavior for a man to be together and a woman to be together. Let's be honest. So you take a child from a very young age into your home, from birth up until toddler, even school age, you're teaching them that it is okay for a man to be with a man and a woman to be with a woman. And I don't think some people realize that that could also form the identity of the said children, their way of thinking, their way of believing. And what happens if indeed the child grows up wanting to be with a boy and a boy and a girl and a girl? Maybe they wouldn't have those thoughts if they weren't in a family where a man and a man are together, touching each other, kissing each other. Same thing with two women. It's just a thought. Because we learn from the people who raise us how to talk, how to act, when they're happy, when they're sad, if they lash out, if they drink, if they smoke, how they dress, how they keep a home, all those things, religion, everything. You learn because somebody taught you. Somebody taught you to make your bed, keep your room clean, or somebody told you it was okay to throw your clothes around, don't clean up. Be in a house with abusive people. You start to act out those things that you see, you experience. Just a thought. Well, I pray for the maximum sentence for these two males, heathens, demons. Now, the other question will be, have they molested other children? And how do two beings meet up in the universe to molest children together? That means the two were sick and met up together and formed this union to say, hey, I like little boys. Hey, I like little boys. Let's molest little boys. How does that happen? It would be one thing if a male adopted a child and was molesting the boy child. But two grown-ass men getting together as a couple and molesting boy children. This is sick. Because two people had to come to an agreement that it was okay to touch and film sexual acts with a child, children. That's even more sinister, because it's one thing to have one deviant person afflicting another person or child. But when you get two people to get in agreement or more, that means somebody was easily conformed, coercion, got in agreement with another sick, vile human being. And the fact that they filmed doing these acts with the children, there are no words. There are no words. But we know in the end, it was a good thing that they did film it. That way there was cooperation that the children were being violated. Sad to say. Nobody wants to look at it, but proof is now evident. Thank you for joining me. Prayers for the children, that they find another safe home to be in. Because see, that's what people don't understand about going from foster home to adoptive home. Sometimes it doesn't work out with the foster care placement or the adoptive home, and the children have to go back into the system, back into that same system that many people don't like and judge, and try to get it right another time. And that's all you can do is pray, because you're dealing with human beings that you don't know anything about. It doesn't matter how good they look on paper. Everything's aesthetics. Pretty hair, nice car, nice smile, answer the questions properly, seemed okay, have a job, bank account. But that is not who we are as people. Those are just attributes. Alleged attributes. But what are we like on the inside? What are we like behind closed doors? What are we like when no one's listening? No one's viewing us, hearing us? Are we really happy people? Content people? Law-abiding citizens? Not having devious thoughts against persons, children, sexual thoughts that are inappropriate. You don't know until somebody gets hurt. And that's what a police officer told me a few weeks ago. That sadly, no one can do anything about anything when it comes to neighbors, people in the street. Something bad has to happen for the court to then say, okay, he or she needs to be in jail or have a high bond. Something bad has to happen. Even with neighbor issues, you can go back and forth arguing, bickering. It's a civil matter. It's up to the landlord to do something about tenants, let's say if they're renting. But the police can only come out, try to, calm the situation. But in the end, the police has to leave. They can't do anything unless one of them has done something. It's the world we live in. That is the only way you can really stop bad people, is they have to be witness of doing something bad or horrible to another human being. Thank you all so much for joining me. Okay, my last content is pertaining to a social worker. And Fox 26 Houston is also the source for this information. CPS employee tells 14-year-old to become prostitute. Thank you all so much for joining me.
An employee with Child Protective Services is caught on camera telling a 14-year-old girl in foster care to become a prostitute.
That's right, and this girl is one of hundreds of kids in CPS custody living in hotels all over the state. Fox 26's Randy Wallace, live from Southwest Houston, here with this story. Randy, the exclusive.
Yeah, Jonathan. Now, earlier this year, a federal judge scored Child Protective Services for making kids available for prostitution in the CPS system. Now we have a case where an employee with that state agency is actually encouraging prostitution of a 14-year-old child.
Shouldn't they remove a child from a parent that told their child to be a prostitute?
They should. And they would. Keisha Basley has 9 kids. She turned to Child Protective Services to help her with her 14-year-old daughter, who she says was running away and causing trouble at school.
My daughter told me that the worker had been telling her that she should do these things. So she said she decided to video her. Please.
CPS is housing the girl at a hotel. She's one of dozens in Harris County. In the video, she tells the CPS employee she wants food. The CPS worker tells her to be a prostitute.
I mean, she was basically encouraging a 14-year-old girl to become a prostitute.
And giving her an incentive to do so, and almost a threat of not having her needs being met if she didn't do what this woman very explicitly told her to do.
If the parent, was to do something like this to my child, I would be bashed. I would be called a horrible parent. I would lose my kids.
Basley filed a formal complaint with CPS.
This should not happen to girls in their care. This should not happen. This is unacceptable.
Jamie Masters, the commissioner of CPS, came to Houston to personally apologize to Basley and her daughter.
I've never seen that happen before, where a commissioner of CPS comes in from Austin just to apologize about something that's horrible that's been done to a child and a parent involved with CPS.
I do not believe that that was genuine. I really don't.
It's bad enough if it's one rogue caseworker. It concerns me that it may be bigger than that, and they need to investigate this and make sure that it's not just one person. And they've got to figure out a way to protect these kids.
CPS sent us the following prepared statement. DFPS is aware of the video and has taken action. The person in the video, who was employed as CPS support staff, was dismissed from her position August 10th. The safety and appropriateness with which children in care must be treated is our paramount concern. Nothing less will be tolerated. Reporting live from the Southwest side, Randy Wallace, Fox 26 News.
All right, everybody. Fox 26 Houston is that source. CPS employee tells a 14-year-old to become a prostitute. What do you all think about that said information? You hear the girl in the video saying she needed food, and the worker is telling her, staff member, whomever, she should sell herself, I guess. They didn't play the audio. Why in the world would you, as a woman, tell another child, I believe it's a woman, to sell herself to get food? So I don't know if the girl was actually hungry or just saying that just so she can get the woman to say something. But that means she's had this conversation with her before for her to go ahead and get a video and tape it, because obviously she's had this conversation with her mother. So see, a lot about this story is whack. One, you got a mom with 9 kids. Now, God said for us to multiply, but 9, one would say, well, is she married? Do all 9 children have the same father? Is there a father or a role model of a male in the household? What's wrong with this kid here? Has she been getting in trouble a long time? Is she being neglected at home? Is she being harmed at home in any way? Sexual assault and or just neglect. Mom don't have time. Because you have to use common sense deduction is what I call it. 9 kids total. That's a lot of children to be contending with. Does the mother stay at home or does the mother go to work? Does the mother go to school? How can you spend your time, split your time between 9 children? What are the ages of all 9 children? Is she the oldest, youngest, what? Any actually grown? I don't, Lord have mercy. Why is the child acting out, getting in trouble in school? So you have to ask all these questions. Are there problems at home to cause the girl to run away? Why is she running away? Why is she getting in trouble at school? Is she acting out because of home problems or is she just wayward, want to be grown, smelling her own funk? What's the problem? The fact that the girl take this woman saying these ugly things to her. The fact that they're housing a dozen or so children in a hotel. Who's running the hotel? Is there supervision at the hotel? Do they have to be buzzed in, buzzed out? Are they sharing a room with another girl, boy, what? See, this is crazy to me. Who all has access to this hotel? How many are staying in the hotel? What are the age group of the children staying in this hotel? You know how big a hotel is? Stay woke, everybody. So how are the children being housed and supervised, let's say supervised rather, in this hotel? So see, this is a problem that starts from the top to the bottom. A mother has too many damn children. I'm going to go ahead and say it. She has too many kids to really be probably trying to supervise a 14-year-old. Because God forbid she's got children under 14. So that's going to take up all her time. Whether she works, don't work. Now the little girl's getting in trouble at school and running away. So there's an issue with the little girl. What is it? Now she's in the state's care and she's taping herself with a conversation with a worker telling her, sell herself. So how long has this worker been telling her that? We also learned in this commentary that the worker has been dismissed from their job August 10th. So what the hell is wrong with this CPS worker? Why are you telling a child to sell her damn self? Why don't you go sell yourself? Are you selling yourself, ma'am? Since you thought it was okay. Will there be repercussions by the city to file charges against her for soliciting a child or telling a child to sell herself? What type of human being tells a child to go work the street? It's ridiculous. And even if she didn't work the street, just sell yourself to any available person so she can get what? Hurt, abused, knocked up, or worse, dead? What type of person are you to say that to a girl child? You're so vile and messed up and jacked up your damn self. Probably because you done it your damn self or something you want to do. You'll tell a child that, and you're supposed to be a mandate reporter and working for the state, and you're telling a child, go sell yourself. Oh, you're hungry? Oh, you need some money? Go sell yourself. Do you hear this? You need your butt whipped, lady. And I hate to ask if you're black. Was this a black woman telling another black child, go sell yourself? Because the child in this commentary is African-American and the mother is African-American. The world is flawed. And people make up schools, DHS, foster care homes, the world itself. So I don't like to group and categorize one story because that doesn't make up an entire business or entity. You have one bad social worker, 2 bad social workers, then all of DHS is bad. You have one bad governor, one bad senator, all the government is bad. We just live in a vile world. We have vile people. We have people who toot their own horn, people who are narcissistic, people who are empty. They have no empathy and they don't know how to behave as a human being. And they throw their weight around. That's what people do. That's what man's been doing since the beginning of time. Woman as well. That's why the world's jacked up. People don't have any empathy. They're selfish. They're narcissistic. And there's obviously something wrong with this female to tell a child to go sell her body to get whatever she needs. and hopefully they'll bring her up on charges. When I get an update to this said information, I will bring it to you. Now, what's going to happen with this child and her mother? Will the state allow the child to stay in the custody of her mother? Because the mother reached out to the state to let them know, hey, I'm having problems with her. Well, she did the right thing. Because in certain places, you can be brought up on charges if your child is delinquent in school, getting in trouble, depending on what the trouble is. The state will hold you accountable, and the state will also ask you for monies to pay them while your child is in their care, for those who didn't know that. So this lady obviously didn't want to be in any type of snafu with the state. She went out and reached out to them to say, hey, I got a problem kid. So will this help change the child to see, hey, maybe whatever's going on at home ain't so bad. I don't want to be up in the state's care and getting bad advice from a social worker, or let's say ill advice, detrimental advice that could cause me my livelihood. And in a world of diseases, monkeypox, who the hell would advise a child to go out here and give her body up? See, the information I bring to you is real. These are real people out here who don't give a damn. And they're willing to sell their own damn soul to the devil and push you right along with them. You have to be vigilant out here, strong-willed, or you will be sucked dry out here in these streets, because people don't mean you no damn good. And it is sad that a child is troubled and her own damn workers telling her to sell herself. We will see what happens with this story, if there's an update, if the child will have to remain in custody of the state or be allowed to go back home with her mother. If her mother has a decent home, she should go back home. But I don't know this woman speaking on this camera. I don't know what her household is like. I don't know what type of parent she is. If she's strict, if she's not being able to give this girl undivided attention. I don't know what the situation is at home, because I didn't hear that mentioned in this commentary. But I would hope it's nothing as violent as having to deal with this damn stupid social worker. And then too, she's staying in a hotel. I don't know if I like that fit either, because naturally these children are going to need supervision. So you have to ask yourself, how is this hotel ran? How many children are sleeping in one room in a hotel? Is it just 2 beds in a room, 1 bed in a room? Who's watching the children? Is it an inside hotel, or is it the kind of hotel where you walk up and the rooms are on the outside? Because if so, that's dangerous. And anybody will have access to the kids, and the kids could just walk out the room. But since when do you start housing children in a hotel? I've heard of a Job Corps being at the hotel, like we had many, many moons ago here in Knoxville, Tennessee, where we had a very terrible murder of a young lady, and they closed it down for that very reason. And we've heard of putting homeless people in the hotels, but never have I heard of housing state children in a damn hotel. That leads me to ask, is the hotel officially ran by the government, the state office? I should hope so. This was a commentary for this afternoon's live. Highland Hills apartment in Memphis, Tennessee has water remain on. I brought you a story of a gay couple out of Georgia, 2 men sexually assaulting their children, adoptive children. Commentary of a Haitian woman in Brooklyn, New York, body decomposed in a funeral home and was not in a great state at the time of viewing. And then this story here of a vile social worker telling a young lady to sell herself. And my other story was of a Memphis woman coercing her 19-year-old daughter and 2 14-year-old boys to go out and help her rob innocent civilians in Memphis, Tennessee. About 5 subjects. I will later bring you commentary pertaining to the crime wave in Memphis, Tennessee. I think it's time that I address this serious situation down there. The crime is out of control in Memphis. I have recent content to bring to you that's been uploaded in the YouTube queue. I will bring you that information. If you need verification for any information that you are hearing that live, it is already posted to my community board for verification. The crime down there is outrageous. The people are killing each other at will, robbing people, stealing cars, breaking into cars. It is outrageous down there. It is New Orleans, ATL, Chicago, 20 times 4. And I have a feeling that many people are going to move out of Memphis, Tennessee. They will not stay there. And many people migrated there from up north, Chicago, Detroit, for a better way of living. Slower pace, cheaper living. But as you see, they now will have to pay the piper for living there. Because a lot of people from Chicago have moved to Memphis and northern Mississippi. But it's out of control. And I do believe, as I've said, all of that heinousness is going to move its way into the suburbs and small towns outside of Memphis and into Mississippi and Arkansas. It's going to be hell on wheels. And it's only a matter of time. People are going to be flocking to Nashville and those surrounding counties, and the crime will get worse there as well. So I see Nashville being the next hub of a crime wave. Because in the end, people migrate and they leave, but in the end, they take that BS to the next man's land. And that's what has happened in many cities. That's why suburbs end up becoming like the city, because the traffic has to flow somewhere. And once you get ran out of somewhere and you can't keep wreaking havoc over here, you go somewhere else. And I got a feeling Nashville will probably be next. The surrounding counties outside of Nashville and also outside of Memphis will be next. Arkansas will be next. Northern Mississippi will be next. Because a lot of people are on drugs. A lot of people sell drugs. A lot of people are thirsty and hungry for money and don't want to work. They rather take it to get by. And it's just an easy way of living to just steal it. And some will even kill for the almighty dollar. That's the world we're in now. If you see something, say something. Be a part of the solution and not the problem. Mind the children. Be aware of your surroundings and know that no snitching has nothing to do with preservation of a child. There's no such thing. Snitching when it comes to preserving the life of a child. I want to thank all of you for joining me. God bless all of you. Have a wonderful week. Please pray for me. My dearest friend, my elderly friend, Miss Mary, has gone home to meet the Lord. Amen. I do have pictures of me and Miss Mary posted to my community board a few months ago. She's a very dear friend of mine, and she was like a mother to me, and I enjoy spending time with Miss Mary. She's one of the ladies I would take chocolates to and snacks because she had a sweet tooth. And Miss Mary has left us now. And she will be dearly missed. A very wonderful woman. She's a church member of mine. Pillar in the community. A well-loved, well-liked human being. And many people can't say that they're well-liked and well-loved and respected. And Miss Mary was all those things. If you'd like to donate to this channel, Everyday Shenanigans, $Big Angie 129 Cash App. Thank you all so much for joining me this afternoon. Sorry for the 2 intermissions, but that was the 2 business calls I had to take care of. But I will be back later tonight or tomorrow with a live pertaining to the crime in Memphis, Tennessee. I do not know what the resolution will be, but somebody is going to have to implement change because that small city is going to suffer greatly if somebody does not step up to do something about the crime. And as I've shown you on this network the past week, there are a lot of mangy management companies and owners renting to people and taking the money and doing what they want and not keeping the places up to par as far as maintenance, repairs, security, upkeep, upgrades. And they are part of the problem as well. You see, you can't be in the slum and treat your tenants as slum and think you can't be revered as a slumlord. You are no different than the vile people that come in and rob and steal and manipulate and assault people and take over the property. You are of the same caliber because you're getting money from the government, tax cuts, subsidiaries, this and that, and you're putting that money in your pocket off the backs of working people, disabled people, and living high off the hog at the expense of a poor man and a poor woman and poor child. So you are part of the problem as well. And I'm going to bring you commentary of other situations going on in Memphis pertaining to slumlords, crime, vandalism of cars, robberies, to show you that Memphis is no longer a safe place to live. And it's sad because the city is not a big city. And frankly, I don't recommend anyone living or visiting there. And it's going to be a shame that these cities that have great culture, great food, ethnic folks, it won't even be safe to visit. And ATL is one of those places. Memphis is now one of those places. Chicago is one of those places. It ain't good. Hello, everybody in the chat. Hello, Joelle Cherie. Thank you all so much for joining me. I'm going to check out of here, but I thank you all so much for following the content. Like, share, subscribe, drop your comments below. As I said, I'll be back later with a video pertaining to the crime wave in Memphis, Tennessee. Prayers for anyone living down there and in the outskirts, because you're going to need it. Because what I've been seeing in the queue is devastating, and it's sickening to see people resorting to crime and killing each other for shoes, purses, cars, stealing people's cars, carjacking people, robbing people, sexual assault, all these crimes that are just unnecessary that you don't have to be doing. You know right from wrong. You don't have to be out here harming other people. What you need to do is go get your education, go get yourself a job. And you can buy these nice things that you so want so badly that you're willing to kill a person to take from them. Get your own, because there's nothing like your own. You all have a wonderful week. This is Everyday Shenanigans. Thank you for joining.